We had the social media IPO wave. Now we're seeing an interesting one, almost a mini wave, really. A couple of companies, high-tech, big data. That is the story. Jonathan Cheng is here with it. I keep hearing this kind of the name Splunk, and I think of spelunking, and I guess it's kind of what they're right, because this is a very interesting company. You are going to explain it to us. I got to tell you, I read the story once. I read the story once, and I still couldn't figure out what they did.
It's not that clear.
But a big IPO for this company, Splunk yesterday. Another one, Proofpoint today, up 30%. Well, let's talk about Splunk yesterday first.
Sure. Basically, what the company does, anyone with a Gmail account or with a hard drive or anything like that, that data storage space is just cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And companies like take an Amazon or an eBay or companies like that, they collect tons of data on what consumers are doing. Every click, every page view, they have all that data and they're socking all of it away. The question is, how do you take all that data and make it useful for turning more profits? And that's where a company like Splunk comes in, and they're not a household name. You could lump them in with like a LinkedIn and with the Groupons and with the Zyngas, but all of those are sort of consumer-facing or regular users deal with those.
They're more like sort of the social media thing, and it's Groupon, LinkedIn. You can kind of glean what they do quickly. A company like Splunk and a company like Proofpoint, they are much more. They're selling their wares to other companies.
Right. For ordinary people like us, yes, we don't deal with Splunk too often.
Right.
Well, we don't at all, but
well, you don't.
But there's clearly money to be made there, and yesterday we saw the stock more than double. And again, that just underscores the appetite that investors seem to have. Clearly, there's a little bit more cautiousness in the markets. We saw that yesterday. Broadly, we were down, but Splunk more than doubled.
Right,
so.
But again, these tech IPOs. You're seeing almost an insatiable appetite for them, right? Regardless of their long-term prospects as companies.
Does it remind you of a certain period too? I don't know, before 2000.
Before 2000, I don't remember anything before 2000.
What is interesting to me about Splunk,
you can see there's a chart with some of them. Splunk, Millennial,
Annie's pretty low tech.
They're not high tech.
Yeah.
It was a big first day game.
Caesars Entertainment, not high tech.
But still, a lot of the high tech ones, a lot of publicity, a lot of movement around them. They're hot. What is it about the high tech companies?
Well, I think what happened was after the tech bubble, which John was referring to, there was a lot of consolidation in the tech industry. You saw a lot of names that, frankly, may not have deserved to have been there in the first place, sort of get whittled out of the system, and I think what we're seeing as a second wave as the internet does get more mature. You're seeing social media makes a lot of sense, and just that we use computers to interact in the same way that we do in real life, and you're seeing a lot of those applications. Now, again, Splunk is it would seem to be, related to this development, but it's clearly not social media either, but the way technology advances, this is just
I think with these stocks, too, the key thing is that they hold the prospect of very rapid earnings growth, and that's what was so special in the eyes of investors with the early days of the tech bubble, was the prospects that they were going to be able to grow their earnings incredibly fast, and I think that's what's attracting people to these names too. The question is, when are they going to start to get real earnings? And the interesting thing about Splunk, I think, though, is that the CEO of this company has a pretty good pedigree. He sold a software company to Oracle. And
so it's not some 19-year-old kid.
Right, exactly. He's been around the block a little bit. But it's an interesting niche. But you got big companies like IBM and EMC, and perhaps even an Oracle that want to be in that area too. And so you have to wonder, it's not an incredibly defensible moat that he's got
and how
there.
much of this too is just anticipation of Facebook? We're waiting for the Facebook IPO. Is this just sort of like?
It's like, do you want to be the Facebook IPO, or do you want to be the high tech, social media related company that IPOs just before Facebook to kind of carry some of that? Exactly.